Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time playthrough. I mean, Mario Tennis Aces. Sorry.
Wind Waker?
Twilight Princess?
I don't see any bottles here.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, they didn't know about the glitch, so they're doing it the intended way. All right.
I mean, the funny thing is there was a rumor for Link in this game being DLC for a little while before that thoroughly got debunked. I kind of want that to happen just so they can make a giant bottle racket, just kind of as a joke.
Well, I'm imagining the way that his racket would look right now, and I'm kind of just imagining like the hilt looking like the Master Sword hilt with the guard and everything, and it just has mostly a sword and then just ends with a racket, which would be stupid and amazing, and I want it really badly.
It ends with a bottle, a Master Sword with
Yeah.
a bottle stuck on it. In fact, it is literally the Master Sword with a bottle stuck on the end. It'd be
But yeah,
great.
this is Mario Tennis Aces for the Switch. It's at least better than the Wii U one.
You see, this game is frustrating for me in a number of ways, because it does some things really, really well, but it doesn't do enough, if that makes sense. Like, it's clear that they definitely put in an effort to make this a quality game, but I feel like a lot of the effort was put in areas that it maybe shouldn't have. Well, one of the things that I do appreciate is this story mode, which is what we're going to be going through right now. The story is absolutely stupid, but that's kind of what I want from a Mario sports game. Like, in the one of the charming things about many of the GameCube spin-offs were these absolutely absurd and inane stories that the game just took just seriously enough, like, for it to feel sincere, while still being ridiculous at the same time. And, like, this also came out, like, just a couple of months after Infinity War did, too. So Luigi with the Infinity Racket here is just also, like, the greatest thing you could ever imagine. And I suppose Wario and Waluigi actually being evil for once is a nice change of pace, too. And this is relatively decent CG as well, so they did think about this story mode a little bit. But ironically...
That's it.
There's another one at the end. Don't worry. But honestly, one of my biggest complaints about this game is that I think they focus too hard on trying to make it a competitive game and not hard enough on trying to make it a Mario Sports game with wacky stuff going on, which is a weird complaint.
Because
I know.
Yeah, because the GameCube sports games, they have, their standard tennis course, their standard golf courses, but they also had, the wacky, DK tennis court with the clap traps around, or the Mushroom Kingdom golf course with warp pipes and stuff.
Yeah, there is not an awful lot of that kind of stuff in the game. It's like, it's very minor. There's a lot of minor variations that, to me, and we'll see this as we go out through the game, it seems like they were looking for minor things that would be like Smash Brothers turn illegal, if that makes sense.
That's,
Even though
Yeah.
nobody plays the Mario sports games on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem I have with that is that one of the things that less so in modern times, but more so back in the day, one of the things that I like about the weird Mario sports spin-offs and casual-ass Nintendo games is that the same elements that gave the game a lot of fun factor in couch co-op or couch competitive play as opposed to real competitive play, those elements tend to also play well with single player, so it's a good kind of game design mentality for this particular kind of system where you're supposed to be bringing it over a friend's house and playing with them and their Switch, or even just with your Switch on a table. That kind of stuff worked well with the N64 as well, and the GameCube, and that's a lot of what made Melee good too. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm going off on a tangent here, but the point is, when you focus too much on the competitive stuff, you're kind of undermining the game's ability to, the game's lifespan in other arenas, and that's a problem because competitive play is nice and all. But it's also the most limited form of gameplay in terms of when you're going to be able to experience it. You're not going to be playing competitive at...
And that's why Smash Brothers is great, but not so much here.
Well, let's give the game props for what it does do well. The tennis here, like the standard tennis gameplay, is really smooth and feels really nice.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Like the one thing they made a lot of changes from the stuff that didn't work on the 3DS and Wii U versions. Like graphically, it looks very similar to Ultra Smash was the Wii U one, and that game sucks. Yeah. But it's like a polished version of that.
The game looks fine. Visually, it's nothing to really write home about, but it looks fine.
Yeah, well, there's just so much more charm in this one because, like, Ultra Smash had literally one tennis court. So there's that. And also, they finally got rid of the stupid, I forget what they're called, but there would be, like, little circles that would appear on the court. And not like the star that pops up normally in Mario Tennis where that's your cue to smash hit it. That's always been there. I don't mind that, but the circles would appear literally every single time the ball went to your side of the court, meaning that the game was basically telling you not only where you were supposed to stand, but what button you should press in order to do the best shot. So it stopped feeling like tennis and started feeling like Simon Says, which is not nearly as fun. So they got rid of that, thank Christ. I'm really happy that they changed it and made it more like the GameCube and N64 tennis games, like as well.
To be honest, I kind of prefer Hot Shots Tennis a little bit over this. Well, obviously,
those were also made by Camelot, right?
Yeah, the golf and tennis games, I think, were made by Camelot, and they used the same rule set for their own games. They're Hot Shots / Everybody's games.
Basically, Sony went to the Camelot and said, "Hey, those Mario games you're making Nintendo for sports, do that for us." Okay.
Are there any major gameplay difference? I've never played either of those, so are there any?
Not really any major differences. They essentially use the same system. I think some of the later Everyone's / Hot Shots games may have made technical additions, but that's not the case for Hot Shots Tennis because there was only ever one Hot Shots Tennis, as far as I know. It was on PS2. Yeah.
Hot Shots Golf is still going though.
Yeah, it's everybody's golf now. They're using the title from other regions.
You see, that's usually weird because a lot of the time they usually tend to try to make it more like the American title, but whatever.
The thing about that is the Hot Shots title was only ever used specifically in America, not in Europe. From what I know, so. I
have no attachment to that specific one, but a lot of the times I just do not like the European titles they give to games.
Well, to be fair, the title Everyone's Golf or Everyone's Tennis kind of fits the purpose of the game more than Hot Shots. Hot Shots makes it sound like it's aiming for the super hardcore gamer crowd, when the fact is, it's actually supposed to be a game for everyone. It's the casual-ass golf game or the casual-ass tennis game versus the
I was going to say, if you like Mario
simulator.
Golf, you like everybody's golf.
Yeah. It's meant to be simple and fun, whereas, like, your standard golf game based on the pros would be heavy on simulator elements, which is good. It's good for people who are into golf and who want that kind of experience in their video games, and, I'm actually interested in trying that kind of game for myself. But, it's a lot easier for anyone to get into this kind of game. Hence the game, Everybody's Golf, Everybody's Tennis, hence the name.
Yeah. Europe just has dumb titles a lot of the time, though. Like, for example, Mario and Luigi Dream Team is now Mario and Luigi Dream Team Bros, which doesn't even make
sense in context of the game.
No.
That kind of feels like they were just really paranoid about the branding not working.
They do it a lot, though. Like, I think Squeak Squad for Kirby is like Mouse Attack or something, so is the word squeak offensive in Europe?
I'm not sure, but they have changed a few titles that seem innocuous to us for that reason. Like, I think Sly Cooper is not allowed to be called Sly Cooper.
I like how the Infinity Racket literally has its own Infinity Gauntlet part of it. It's the Infinity Orbs.
The Infinity, yeah, they are the Infinity, the Orbs. Basically, we learned that on this island, tennis is powerful enough to destroy the entire world. What? And there was like this tennis war thousands of years ago, and the tennis god Lucian is trapped in...
Question: any more or less ridiculous than using giant keys?
Honestly, less, because you can actually follow what's going on at the moment.
You
And
know,
it's not like this copy of Mario was called, like, Arimix or something like this, you know? And
Yeah.
the organization, 5 sets or something like that. I don't know.
well, you know, there's merit to be found in magical gaming storylines.
Oh no,
Like-
I love that. I love the story.
I love that it's really stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, like, actual narrative merit. Obviously not in this one, but the idea behind Yu-Gi-Oh, not necessarily the execution, but the idea behind Yu-Gi-Oh always fascinated me, because even when it got super focused on the card game, for example, the idea behind it fascinated me because the Magic the Gathering is supposed to be a game about wizards summoning monsters dueling each other. And the story in Yu-Gi-Oh! Writes it so that this actually happened back in Egypt and someone based a card game on it. So it made a weird kind of sense, you know?
Yeah, but this part of the game is just basically a tutorial for the main kind of gimmick to the gameplay, which is the zone meter. And again, I like the idea of the zone meter, and I think that it is implemented well, but unfortunately, I don't think it's quite Mario Sports enough, if that makes sense. And I know it's a weird complaint, but basically the zone shots and zone speed, what they do is you have this energy meter in the top left, and you build that up by, you know, doing standard tennis. And if you press the R button, you can either slow down time so you can make shots that would be difficult for you to make otherwise, or you can do a super duper special shot, which would be very hard for the opponent to make, you know? And, like, that's a cool idea and whatnot, and if this were a more seriously focused tennis game, like, I think that would be a cool mechanic for it, you know, on top of, like, the flips that you can do in order to build up meter really quickly and the racket breaking and whatnot. But the big problem with it is that every character tends to feel very similar because they all have the same superpower, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. The differences between... And we're not going to be seeing any of the other characters because the story mode is just Mario, which I don't really mind too much because this is basically just supposed to get you into the swing of playing the game
swing.
anyway. I didn't even go for that one. But, you know, the story mode for these kinds of games is basically just designed to get you used to the controls so that you can play online with people afterwards. I don't have a problem with just playing Mario in this. But what I do have a problem with is, aside from animations, every character feels very, very similar. Like, what's the difference between Peach and Daisy? Well, minor
Nothing.
stat differences. You know, Peach hits it a little bit less hard but can aim it a little bit better, you know. It's
Yeah.
not like she has a major difference in mechanics like Smash Brothers or something like that, you know, which is disappointing to me.
Yeah. I do seem to remember, like, I was playing Hot Shots Tennis just before this one, which is why I brought Hot Shots Tennis up. And one thing I noticed was that I didn't feel quite as much difference between, say, a balanced character and whatever the word for a tricky character is. Going into Tennis Aces versus Hot Shots Tennis, where I definitely felt a difference in the way the game played when I was switching from one type of character to another.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing is true for the N64 game as well.
Mm.